Dear viewers, welcome again to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I'd like to start this session by thanking you so much for all those who've stayed with this channel, for all those who've made this channel grow. If you want to support this channel, just hit the subscribe button and then you can hit the like button. So I'd like us to go through something that DANSTAN Omari said in one of the leading media TV stations. And it is still on this issue of CHEBUKATI. So DANSTAN Omari says that the move that CHEBUKATI made is one of the worst mistakes of his life. And that because CHEBUKATI held a public office, any Kenyan has the right to criticize his moves. So what DANSTAN Omari says in that interview is that when CHEBUKATI said that 3 elders paid him a visit, he should come out clear and tell us why 3 elders would pay him a visit, whereas the Constitution gives his constitutional office to only him and the rest and the other 6 commissioners. Then how did the elders get into his office? The 3 elders, that means Tuju, Wako, and the other third person.
That I'm the AZIMIO lawyer, so
probably even better to get a response from you on what
the question that my good friend and congratulations for marrying just the other day, Chief Ogola, is that they are demanding for a video. Contextualize this to the issue of Bomas. At Bomas, CHEBUKATI says there were 3 elders from AZIMIO who came to see him. And that's what I wanted to ask at the tribunal, the tribunal. That is a constitutional bedroom that is created for only CHEBUKATI and the 6 commissioners and accredited agents or parties. For God's case, how did Tuju get himself at midnight and Wako at the Bomas? CHEBUKATI cannot answer that, because that is a constitutional bedroom. Zainab, not even the media. It's kept at the plenary. But these strangers came at midnight. What were they carrying, and why were they allowed there?
So what DANSTAN Omari is trying to allege is that maybe CHEBUKATI is trying to tell a lie by covering himself up, by using the narrative of 3 elders paying him a visit. Then DANSTAN Omari further said that Article 35 gives any Kenyan a right to criticize, a right to grill any constitutional office, and that means Raila Odinga alikuwa anafanya kulingana na katiba. Whatever comments that Raila made in that rally was in line with the Constitution of Kenya. And I think what DANSTAN Omari is trying to say is that CHEBUKATI will do nothing. And that is what I said in my previous analysis, that he will do nothing. And then during that interview, there is something very interesting that he said. The nominal charges that can be awarded to CHEBUKATI in the event that he wins that case is 1 shilling or 2 shillings.
Raila Odinga has said that CHEBUKATI came to see him, and Wakili is asking for the video.
Of course.
For the sake of CHEBUKATI, let me give him a chronology. When the Chief Justice was appointed, recruited, she issued a demand letter, a threat to Nelson Harvey. She never pursued that threat. When William Ruto, then the deputy president, and Boniface Mwangi sued Boniface Mwangi, he abandoned that case as fast as he had filed it. When the Chief Justice, then Emeritus David Maraga, demanded a similar letter from Amin Nasir, when the file went to court, the Chief Justice took off. If CHEBUKATI wants to know what Kenyans think about him, is to allow himself to be a party in a court process. None has ever succeeded. When you are a public figure, a lot of issues are talked about. So I don't think anybody is going to respond to that letter, and we'll be expecting they go to court. then the evidence shall be produced in court. But they have a right to demand what they are demanding, and they are opening up the question of the electoral processes.
So in that interview, Damstan Omari is advising Chebukati to, you can just withdraw, because he's saying that AZIMIO will not furnish him with the video and will not furnish him with the pictures, and that can only be done through a court process, and that instead of waiting for the 7 days, that Chebukati's lawyer should just proceed to the court, because AZIMIO and Kenya Alliance will not respond to such kind of request or demands. And I personally think the best thing that Chebukati should have done was to totally ignore what Raila Amolo Odinga said. I think Chebukati should look at Isaac Hassan. I think Isaac Hassan, after committing almost a similar offense, went through a similar crisis, which led to almost a disbandment of the former Electoral Commission. But the old team went home, a new team was picked. Of course, we know that the first team that was picked with Chebukati, half of the team resigned. And then the only people who were left were Chebukati, Gulie, and Boya Molu. Those were the commissioners who were left. And then you know that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta replaced the 4 commissioners, of course, after going through a parliamentary process. They were approved, and then the appointment was successful. That's why now Cherera, Wanderi, Nyang'aya, and Masit became part of Chebukati's commission team. So what Chebukati ought to have done was to follow in the footsteps of Isaac Hassan. Isaac Hassan, if you look at history, aliachana na mambo politics completely. He stopped responding to Raila Amolo Odinga completely, and that is how story yake iliisha. So the fact that Chebukati is taking Raila Amolo Odinga head on will lead him to a very, very bad end. I mean, the kind of end that we are likely to see in this crisis is not going to favor Chebukati. I think Chebukati will be buried politically. So if I am him, and I want to protect my name, just like I said in the previous analysis, you ought to just shut up. You ought to let Raila Amolo Odinga just speak his mind, because of course he has a point, but you ought to just let him speak. It's politics. Then a time will come when itapumzika kabisa, hii story itaisha. But the fact that he has decided to actually hold the bull by the horn is going to just bury himself. So Damstan Omari is merely trying to advise Chebukati that hakuna kitu AZIMIO atawapatia, afadhali uende tu kotini, kwa sababu hakuna kitu AZIMIO atafanya. AZIMIO will not respond to that letter. AZIMIO will hold another rally at Kibera, and no response will come. You will not be furnished with that request, the demand you made. You should just proceed to the court. And even if you go to the court, the only thing the court can do is award you 1 shilling or 2 shillings. That is what the court is likely to award you, because the people, or the Article 35 allows anybody to criticize a constitutional office.
But I've given a chronology that no public figure, just ask Uhuru Kenyatta, he had to dash away from social media because he realized under Article 35, under Article 34, Kenyans have a right to talk anything. Raila Odinga will say what he wants to say.
So what does that mean? That means Chebukati atakuwa ameambulia patupu, and because he has jumped from a frying pan into the fire, now he'll have to carry his own cross. The people who misled him will leave him, alafu atajikuta kwamba amebaki peke yake. So that is what is likely to befell Chebukati. So dear ladies and gentlemen, kindly share what your opinions are below the comment section. Do you think Damstan Omari makes sense? If you do, please just tell us below the comment section. I'd like to hear what you have in mind. And once again, I'd like to urge you to stay safe and stay blessed until we catch up again in our next analysis.